Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this in the world. I hope you guys are doing okay. So today, I want to speak more about the Tekken monetization and the battle pass and microtransactions in the game. Yesterday we spoke about it and I didn't really give a definitive stance on where I really sat with it. I don't feel like I sat on the fence, but I definitely feel like I didn't plant my feet in the ground and give my actual position on the game. And I did read through your comments, and obviously I appreciate all of the negative feedback, and I went back and watched my video and I actually didn't really like it very much. So I wanted to give more clarification as to why I'm against battle passes and really zero in on the reasoning for myself. Now, I think part of the reason why I was a little bit wishy-washy with Tekken is that I think I have some bias towards Tekken. I think we all have biases towards our favorite things, whether it be games, people, music, whatever it might be. I can sit here and admit to you guys as well that when Tekken or Namco does things, sometimes I have a tendency to look the other way because usually they'll drop a base game that I'm really into. For example, a lot of my favorite games come from Namco, come from Bandai Namco or studios that are within the company. And so when they do things, I think I have rose-tinted glasses on sometimes. And as I said, we can all do that with loads of things. Now, the base product of Tekken 8 is really good. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of balancing issues with this game, but I'm willing to look past them because I do overall have a good time with it. But there are a couple of things that I think we should zero in on and point out, and obviously discuss the battle pass in a bit more depth, and I'll tell you exactly why I am so against it. So to begin, Tekken 8 and the Tekken team bait and switched us. This game was being marketed and reviewed as a game that had no in-game store before it came out, and that was one of its big selling points. What I believe happened is that Namco, Harada, the Tekken team, they looked at what people were saying about Street Fighter 6 and about Mortal Kombat 1, and what they did is they held off on revealing all of these things. The Battle Pass, the Tekken store, and all of these things would have been planned months and months in advance, and they didn't tell us before the game came out. And we were too caught up in how fantastic Tekken 8 looked, because compared to its competitors, Tekken 8 looked like it had taken it to a next level. And that's not to put down Street Fighter 6. I think Street Fighter 6 as a base model is actually pretty good as well. As a fighting game, it's a lot of fun. But Tekken 8 just looked like it was doing something different. It was giving us the climax of the Mishima story. It all looked over the top, very shonen, very anime. Graphics looked amazing. Music sounded great. And we were kind of swept up in everything that was going on. That when we found out that there was a Tekken store coming, I can admit myself, I kind of went, okay, whatever, it's $3.99. But when you sit back and think about it, they lied to us, and they basically sold this game as a game that didn't have an in-game store, so much so that it was so easy and simple to get Tekken coins in the game, or whatever they call the in-game currency, that I started to wonder, well, I've unlocked everything basically on day one. Is this all there is to it? Because there isn't as much customization as previous Tekken games. It seems that they take more and more away every single time, and they use the excuse that production costs have gone up. Now, it might be true. It might be true. I did actually manage to pull some screenshots from Harada talking on this in 2019, and what he said was, it depends on the type of design and how many people are involved in parallel. Even though it is the same fighting game, a 3D fighting game with a 360 panoramic view costs much more to develop than a 2D fighting game. Multi-room structure, object destruction and floor destruction, multiple structure designs are more expensive than ring out designs and infinite stages. 50 million is the lowest price stage. Now, 50 million yen roughly converts to $330,000, I believe, and 230 or 240,000 pounds. Now that is a hefty amount of money, and I did try to look more into this. I did try to find out what the development costs of Tekken 7 were and Tekken 8 and see how much we could compare them. Harada did say that the development costs are now 10 times more expensive than in the 90s and more than double or nearly triple the cost of Tekken 7. Even the Fight Lounge servers are costly to maintain. In the past, there weren't so many specs and there wasn't online. Plus, they didn't have such high resolution and high definition. Now, so many people want the game to run and be supported for a long time. It costs money to continually update the game for that reason. However, he probably only keeps good memories of the old games he experienced. He's talking about some guy he's replying to here who was being critical of the microtransactions. Experienced as a boy and does not pay attention to these changing times and increasing costs. The economic situation and everything else is changing. If we simply do nothing as he suggests, the game will simply stop running in a few months. I think that is what he wants. So there is no point in talking to him about these realities. He wants us to stop economic activity and stop updating and supporting the game. Now, I looked into the cost of servers and they vary very heavily. I couldn't get a definitive number for a fighting game, for example, and there's no point in looking at something like Minecraft, which has its figures published online apparently, because it can differ very heavily to the game and the kind of game that they're supporting. So it's very hard to understand how much of this is true and how much the production costs are. One thing that we can say though, like I said, is that we were lied to, and this game was pushed as a game that was not going to have an in-game store. And I think that is fair to point out, because these things did not happen overnight. Michael Murray Harada, the Tekken team, and Bandai Namco knew that they were going to be dropping a Tekken shop and the battle pass well ahead of time, and they decided to not tell us before the game came out. Also, the in-game currency is basically obsolete, so it was a bait and switch, and I don't think people really appreciate that, so I think it's fair to point that out. Now, one of the biggest criticisms that I had of Mortal Kombat is that Mortal Kombat has a rotating store, and what rotating stores do is that they play off of FOMO. Now, for those of you that don't know, FOMO is the fear of missing out, and FOMO includes two processes. Firstly, perception of missing out, followed up with a compulsive behavior to maintain these social connections. Now, in Tekken's case, or in Mortal Kombat's case, it is a case of having the flashy costume or the flashy cosmetic on your character, and if you don't get to the store in time, you may never get it again. Now, it might sound silly to bring up to a person like you, for example, watching behind the monitor. I don't know, maybe it's not, but FOMO is a real thing, and companies know how to prey on people. And you might be thinking, well, I just won't buy it, it's not a big deal, whatever. The fact that FOMO is studied in the world of psychology should tell you that these companies are well aware of what FOMO is and they use it. Now, as I said, in Mortal Kombat's case, they have a rotating store, and if items go, they go. There's no real way to know if they're going to actually show up in the normal store, and so you are incentivized and almost pushed to spend your money on these items. And battle passes are no different. Battle passes exist for a limited amount of time. Say for example, you pay $9.99. You access the battle pass and you have a limited time to unlock everything in there. Once the battle pass season runs out, that's it, those items are gone. And again, try to take yourself out of this. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't care, it's not that deep. Think about why companies design things in this way. Think about what the overarching point is. Don't just think about yourself, because for someone like me, it's very easy for me to go, I don't care, I don't need that shit, it's not that deep. But there's a reason why they do it this way, and for that reason I will not support battle passes. I don't like the fact that they use something that is predatory. British psychologists elaborate and define that FOMO is a pervasive apprehension that others might be having, rewarding experiences from which one is absent. So FOMO is categorized by the desire to stay continually connected with what others are doing. What do battle passes do? They incentivize you to jump on the game and play continuously until you unlock these items under the guise that they may not be coming back. And then the battle pass renews and you keep on pumping money into the game, and this is a way that they keep you on the game. It's not an organic way of playing Tekken or any other game. It is a way to almost psychologically trick you into playing their game. Now, I know some of you watching this are thinking, Michael, what the fuck are you going on about? Like I said, you need to understand why things are designed the way they are. And I'm sure a lot of you probably already know. I'm preaching to the choir. But I do think it's good to point out why I am taking a stance against it. It's not just because of the mods. It's not just because they were so savage in the way they dealt with the mods. It's that over time I've noticed that more games just take more away from people, and then they use the guise of production costs to support their game. And in a game that costs £70, it's a bit hard for me to swallow the idea that I should be purchasing a battle pass on top of that. It's a bit difficult for me to swallow the idea that if I don't support the battle pass, and if we all don't support the battle pass, Tekken won't be able to exist. I don't know how much of that I believe. And as I said, it's very, very difficult to find the production costs of Tekken 8 and Tekken 7 and Tekken 6 and compare them and see how it's changed over time. It's something that Harada has said many, many times, and we just don't know entirely. What I do know is that companies take things away from us over time, and then they put them behind paywalls. That has been something that has been happening for a very, very long time. They also produce games and release them without basic features. Case in point, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 5. Ultimate Ninja Storm 5, or Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, is an updated version of Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, although it is sold as a full price game. Now, when you go into this game, you will quickly realize that this game has no lobby battles for your friends. How can this be the 5th installment of a fighting game and they've taken a feature away? To say to us that we're going to include it later on. Include it when exactly? This is my problem with these companies. It's not that I think that they're always lying about production costs and what they can implement and what they can't implement. I think that they can get away with doing less to gain more. I don't know if Tekken is different from that. I don't know how much they really care. I mean, Harada has said before, and Moonsault Slayer pointed it out, that there is a lot of corporate greed and they don't particularly care about Tekken. So yes, you don't have to purchase the battle pass, and it's your wallet and you can vote with your wallet, but it's also very possible that Bandai Namco is trying to prey on people. A battle pass is acceptable in a free-to-play game because it's free to play, and so I completely understand the logic of supporting the game because they don't charge you anything to play it. But in a game that cost £70, in a game that had a collector's edition that was triple that amount almost, to then charge people for costumes, which I was like, okay, I'll give that a pass. Even though I don't like the Tekken coins, I'd much rather just be able to purchase the costumes without having to purchase these dumb in-game coins that go over the recommended limit, and so you have an excess even though you don't need them, so you can't actually purchase the correct amount. I was willing to give it a pass because it was one stage of microtransactions. Now there's another one involved, and we don't actually know if the items that are locked behind it could have been in the full version of the game at no detriment to Bandai Namco. We don't actually know if it's predatory or not. What I do know is that it has been predatory in other games, and it has even been predatory in games that are much cheaper than Tekken. And for those of you that don't know, quick side note, battle passes were first introduced in 2013, so that's the first sign of a battle pass, and they were introduced by the Valve Corporation for Dota, which is a massive MOBA game. It's a battle arena, and they said that the purpose of the battle pass was to fund the progression and raise money of Dota 2's yearly international tournaments. So it is of course very possible that Tekken needs to raise funds to continue to produce characters. It is also possible that they have already produced these characters. These characters have already been planned. They've already got the budget for them, and this is just a way to line their pockets. I think you have to explore both avenues here, and it's something that I'm going to keep on looking into and speaking around and talking to people and trying to find out exactly what the costs are. But that's where it came from originally. It was Dota 2. Also, let us not forget, this is the company that sold us frame data in Tekken 7. Now, I am willing to bet that the battle pass and the premium battle pass are going to be designed in a way where the regular one is going to have absolute dog shit in it, and the premium one is going to have all the cool stuff. And again, I want to drive this point home. It is not about you that is in control of your wallet. It's not about me. I'm in control of my wallet. I know what I want to buy. It's about the idea that they're marketing this in a way that there are people out there that don't understand how to control their finances. There are people out there that really do suffer with FOMO, as ridiculous as that might be saying out loud. And I think we need to acknowledge the reason for why things like this exist. This subscription model, this battle pass, these monetization strategies didn't just come out of thin air. They weren't just thought up overnight by some weirdo in his basement who thought, yeah, this is how we're going to charge people. These were people that run large corporations that are likely smarter than me and you, and they figured out how to fleece people for the most money. Now, I know videos like this might be annoying to some people, and they might be like, Mike, just shut up, don't play it if you don't want. But I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's not about me and you. It's not about the consumers that are switched on and can just walk away from things. Sometimes it's about looking at why they're doing certain things and if it's fair for them to do it in certain games. If anyone knows where you can find the production cost of Tekken 8, I would really love to see them. I'd love to see the production cost of Tekken 7. I'd love to see how much it costs them to maintain servers. I know these things are not cheap, but I don't know if it's necessary for them to put cosmetics behind a battle pass. I'm going to continue digging. I hope you guys look into it as well. But if not, this was just a quick video to put out on Sunday to give more clarification to my stance that I took yesterday. It was a little bit wishy-washy yesterday, but I hope that makes more sense. And of course, I stick by what I said. They were way too harsh on the modders. I think the way they went about it was completely wrong. And for that reason alone, I wasn't going to support any of this stuff. But I think just reading into the idea behind battle passes and what FOMO is, I'm even more against it. So those were just my quick thoughts, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave your comments in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys very soon. Take care and peace.